night or good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Premier League. I'm going to call it a recap and prognostication show. We recap the previous events and try to predict upcoming games, which will happen over the weekend. And I'd like to welcome all my guests this evening. Dave, who is a Chelsea fan and who may be smiling because things are up on the uptick. How are you doing, Dave?
All good. Yeah, things are on the up. We stabilised a bit, so yeah, I think everything's good now.
And Drew, who I saw earlier, have this face on to say, you guys all can talk amongst yourself. Try to figure out who's going to come second through fourth or fifth. We're not in that conversation. We're trying to achieve something totally different, which is how many points can we get? How many titles can we win? FA Cup, League Cup, even Champions League, which has eluded them. So, Drew, welcome. How are you doing?
Well, I mean, to be honest, great week, but we have conceded 2 goals in the space of a week. So defensively, we need to go below another 60 million on another centre back. I think. Yeah. Guardiola out. So.
Yeah. And Tony, I got up last week Saturday morning at 7 a.m. to watch my team play and have what seems to be a consistent result over the season since Arsenal have lost 8 and I think I won 9, so we're less than 500. How are you doing, Tony?
I'm good, buddy. I'm actually better than Drew because Drew's team may have conceded 2 this week, but my team have only conceded 1.
Forget about results. That's a good way to think about it. A very cup half full perspective. We do appreciate that view. I want to welcome, hey, Cool K, how you doing? Yes, Cool K saying Drew must be loving it. Missed him last week, ready to gloat. Drew hasn't been gloating, actually. Drew has been seeing things from a much different place. He's seeing the bigger picture. He's not focused on what we're focused on. He was behind for a while and everyone getting excited about will Man City make the top 4, and now we're all thinking about who's going to join Man City in the top 4, which is a whole different perspective. So I want to say a point, which is Apollo, who actually sort of runs this forum, has been out for a while, got some communication from this week that he's continuously improving and hope to get him back, if not the end of this month, say early next month. So Apollo, brother, hope the progress continue well and hope to see you soon live in this forum. And Apollo saying, hey, what's good, guys? Yep. Hopefully we'll have fun, Apollo. And for those of you who have just joined us yet, if you haven't subscribed before, please hit that like button. So we'll start out with the games which transpired last week. And the first game was the Aston Villa Arsenal game. And Tony, Aston Villa, I think, beat Arsenal the last. I'm going to call it Arsenal, not my team. Arsenal the last time. I run for the mountains when my team started losing. Arsenal lost 3 times we played them. I think it was at home. Yeah. We lost 1-0 to Villa again. What was your perspective on the game, and why is it that we seem to Villa seem to be our bogeyman nowadays?
Yeah, I mean there was clearly some players missing. We had suspensions for 2 key individuals. But look, they were the better team on the day. They came out, straight out the gate, scored within a minute of the game kicking off. We tried to gain some ascendancy, but we never really got everybody flowing the way we wish we could. We're struggling at the moment because two key parts of our team aren't there. Kieran Tierney, Aubameyang's been out. Now we're going to be missing Thomas Partey for a few weeks. So, look, I'm not overly disappointed because I'm not expecting too much at this stage. We're going to win some, we're going to lose some. I think we've got to start looking towards the summer and seeing what kind of transfer activity we get.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, all is not lost, right? I think what we did was, because we actually had the FA Cup this week, we took a year off from the FA Cup because we have won it too many times. So we do want to give others a chance to win it. So we decided to take off this year really early to allow the teams to progress. So but I assume that we're focused on the Europa League. And so we don't want to play too many competitions. So that's the excuse I'm going to hold on to as to why we exited so early against Southampton. Any perspective, Drew, on the game? I'm not sure if you saw the game.
I did actually watch it. I blagged it. Told the kids I wasn't feeling too well, so they left me alone for an hour and a half to watch it. Which I kind of regretted that in the end because it wasn't a great game of football. But I'm going to be really honest about it now. There's a lot right with what Arteta's doing at Arsenal. It's just getting this execution on the pitch. The players are playing for him. They're just not executing at the moment. But I can see them a couple players in, shift a couple of players out. Mentioning no names, Pepe.
Wow.
I just don't see how Pepe's a £70 million player. If I'm honest,
I agree.
There's a lot of dead weight in the Arsenal squad at the moment, and Arteta's now sifting through it. He's getting an idea of what his team is. Unfortunately, he's had Tierney out, which is a massive loss defensively. Aubameyang's had a niggle, and like we just said, with Partey out, we're not seeing the best possible Arsenal midfield, which is a massive issue for them at the moment. But there's a lot of things right with that squad. So losing to Villa, they're one of those teams this year. Everyone's either playing badly against them or thumping them. And that's the thing. Villa are a real Jekyll and Hyde team. And unfortunately for Arsenal, they've come up against them twice when they've had cracking games. So not quite as cracking as when they played Liverpool, but Villa have played really well twice against Arsenal this season, which is poor luck, I think, really, for Arteta on that front.
Well, I think the interesting about the game is that Villa may have played. Look, first, Arteta said that we dominated the game. I thought I got up early and went to bed late because I didn't really see that. He and I were watching two different games because Villa had more shots on target, frankly, and could have scored more goals apart from Ryan's playing well in his first game. So I'm not sure where Arteta got that from. And secondly, Grealish didn't have an outstanding game. And yet, you would expect him to be the person who's sort of dictating the pace of the game and creating chances. I didn't see him being that dominant in the game. And yet still, I didn't think we imposed ourselves on the game to be able to win that game. So, Dave, not sure if you had a view on the game.
Yeah. I think it's always difficult when you go behind early doors. It's always difficult. What was the goal? Second minute, I think. You're always chasing, and it allows those teams where they think, okay, we can sit back and hit on the break. With the attacking talent that Villa got, and the way that they've been playing and the form that they're in, it's almost kind of a dream scenario for them just to be 1-0 up and hit on the break, and allow Arsenal to kind of just play those square passes around the area, around the box. It's, I think, like Drew said, you can see what Arteta wants, but it's not. There's just something missing, and I think it is, getting the right players in and getting the right players out and getting the right players in. I think it is simply a personnel issue at Arsenal, but he's getting there. It doesn't seem like it now because you've lost away at Villa, but Arsenal are getting there. It's starting to look at, in terms of the personnel, who's going to be right for next season, who's not going to be right. So yeah, I mean, Odegaard looked all right when he came on, I thought, as well. So he looked like a bright spot. And I think when you look at the goal as well, I mean, what's Cedric doing as well? I mean, was he? I can't remember. Was he playing left back? He was left back.
He was playing left back. Yeah. Yes.
So he's playing. He's playing out of position as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, do you blame? Obviously, you do blame him for that goal, but I mean, he's playing out of position as it is. So, and Matt Ryan, let's give him credit as well. He's a guy that's come in. He was probably expecting to play last week, in all fairness. Didn't get the nod then, got the nod on that game, and I thought he had a good game as well. So it's actually looked at the point where you've got. Imagine if you didn't get Matt Ryan in that January transfer window, now you would have had that Runnison and that. So yeah, so
don't take me there.
So here's a couple of points. Like, one is, people are saying, well, Runnison is not a good goalkeeper, which we all would agree to. But who bought Runnison? That's my first pick. He just came in this the last window. It's not like he came in 2 years ago and Arteta wasn't responsible for him. He and Edu bought Renison. Now he was cheap, but you bought him. You got to go out and get somebody alone. So someone have to assess the talent and then make a decision to bring the talent in. You made that decision. That's one. Secondly, the theme of these comments, so Apollo is saying at this rate, Arteta will be greatest manager ever to get sacked. He identified his team weaknesses and addressed them efficiently. His other simple things is not doing well. I think this perspective of Arteta being a great manager, I'm still struggling with that view. It's like people are talking about Lampard. Like Lampard isn't good. But how do you judge me not being good or being great when the window I've worked with so far is very, very small sample size to make an informed decision about how good I am, right? So I may seem on the surface to be great, but I say for Arteta, for example, you play Williams since the beginning of the season. He has had one good game. So everyone is saying you put players on the field, you position them, they're not executing. Well, you've been playing William. Everybody and their blind grandmother can realize that William is out of form or out of something. Something is not right with William because he has not been the same William we have seen at Chelsea. He's just not playing well. In fact, he's playing atrociously. Yet you still play him. So what's the rationale for playing him? That's taking the place for a player who could producing more than he's producing because he's just not producing.
Yeah.
You can't wait for him to recover his form more than halfway through the season. So that's so when you say this person is great, look at all the decisions they have made. No, we would agree that first of all, we had too many players, so we had to get rid of certain players. We all know who some of those players are who need to move on, whether too highly compensated or just not good enough. But I still haven't seen where yet he's great. The Pep Guardiola Association give him credence, give him credibility, coupled with winning an FA Cup. That seemed to be the barometer to judge him of being great. I'm still waiting to see the totality of the work with a large enough sample size to then say, yes, he's going to be great, still not great. Jose Mourinho was a great manager. I'd say was. Wenger was a great manager. Guardiola may or may not be a great manager. I don't know if Guardiola is great. I would say that's playing because he's always had money to spend. So I don't want to say Guardiola.
I can't even argue that point. That's the worst thing. I can't even argue that.
Well, he was a Barca with Messi, right?
He got lucky as hell, Guardiola, when he walked into Barcelona with, let's be honest, the best team in Europe.
Yeah.
And they had money to boot as well.
Yeah, Frank Rijkaard's team.
Yeah, I don't know if Guardiola is great. I mean, he looks great. He has winning percentage, but think about it. At Bayern, he never won the Champions League, and he had one of the best teams. At Barca, he had Messi. At Man City, he has unlimited resources.
Yeah, but I think, do you know what, though? You've got to look at, when you've got managers like that, and I used to be on that same wavelength where you think, okay, if managers have all of these resources, are they great managers? And there is a skill in being able to get the best out of players and being able to manage big egos as well. You've seen how in this day and age, player power takes over so easily nowadays. Players turn on managers like anything. And I think being able to keep players on side, being able to keep progressing your play and the football that you play is a skill and an art in itself. So I think with that, I mean, I consider him a great manager because he's been able to do that at three big clubs and being able to keep players all on side, really, I think. And it's getting to the point where Messi wants to probably come join him. Like, if you've got the greatest player to ever live, in my opinion, wanting to come and join you, you got to be a great manager, surely.
So I'll say one last point on that, which is Barca won the Champions League subsequent to him leaving, even though he won. Bayern won the Champions League subsequent to him leaving. He never won there. Pellegrini has won the league. Mancini has won the league with City. So he hasn't done anything that no one has couldn't accomplish given his resources. Just hasn't.
Yeah, I think
the sorry to interrupt, Dave. I think the point with Arteta bringing that back is essentially we're looking for green shoots, and we see some. We saw some last year. We're seeing some this year in places. What we now need to see is consistency, and that's where Pep is earned his corn. He's got every team he's ever played for capable of performing at a consistent level, and that on its own you know, is a skill. Because if you look at some of the other great managers, Ancelotti, Simone, Zidane, Mourinho, they've all got peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs. Whereas Pep, he's kind of plain sailing. He gets the same thing over and over.
My last one that Tony is this, is that there's some people who are very smart about what project they assume. And his choices have been perfect to enable him to be successful. Some managers are desperate, like Jose, just to get a job, because their reputation has been tarnished. They're trying to recover that reputation. While he's been very strategic, so he's very smart. We're not saying he's not smart. We're not saying he may not be a great manager. I'm just saying, given what he has had at his disposal, I am still on the fence. When he wins the Champions League with City, I may be convinced. But right now, I haven't seen it at the zenith of the profession. Ferguson was a great manager. Different situation, different teams, still winning. I think Wenger was a great manager, even though he won the Champions League. Given the resources, he had a lack of resources. Pep, still on the fence about that. But enough about Pep. We go to some of the other games during last weekend. I won't go through every single game. Manu versus Everton. That was a 3-3 game. Interesting game. I actually turned the TV off. You were saying something, Dave?
All I'm gonna say is when everyone said, "Nah, they're gonna win. Look at the 9-0 and stuff." I'm just gonna say, I stuck my neck out there and thought I can't remember who it was last week as well in the comments who agreed. Who called the draw, and I think I called another game as well, which we'll get to down the line as well. I think I said there would be a spanking for one team as well, if you can remember last week. So we'll get to that one as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that I turned my TV off because I don't like Manu, obviously, and the game was over. I turned it off. Maybe it got to be like 10 seconds before the free kick was given. And I turned my TV back on later, just watching sports recap. And I'm like, what do you mean the game is tied? That makes no sense. I thought they had definitely lost. So lesson learned to stay until the last minute. What was your perspective on the game, Drew?
It's always nice to see Man United drop points, isn't it? I think that's something we can all agree on. It's always nice to see United drop points. And honestly, they've shown a propensity the past 2 years. I don't care what any United fan says about, we're on the way back we're getting there with Ollie. They've got a propensity to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. There's just that they've not got it between the ears at the moment, I don't think. When games are tight and a team is there to try and actually go after them like Everton were, I don't think United can deal with pressure, and it's wonderful to see because we had to spend so bloody long watching them dominate everything. So it's great seeing United drop points against teams like Everton, who for 80 minutes, I'd say they were the better team. But 10 minutes over the course of the game, Everton battered them, and those 10 minutes are important, and it was great, to be honest. And Calvert-Lewin had another good game, so. Good to see a young English striker doing well, but isn't Harry Kane.
Yeah, Everton seems to have a unique knack, not to play well, but be able to put the ball in the net and get results. No different when they play Spurs in the week in the FA Cup.
I'm not overly impressed by Man United. I'm not overly impressed. They're not setting the world on fire for me. They can look at, take the 9-0 out because you're playing 9 men. But apart from that, they don't. I always think they're beatable.
They have good players. It's just you got to bring it all together, right? When they played Leipzig and they destroyed Leipzig in one leg, and then they lose.
Their right back. Yeah. Their best players, their right back.
The best defenders.
Wan-Bissaka is awesome.
He's an awesome defender. Offensively, a little bit challenged, but I would agree that he's an awesome defender. Actually, really ever gets beaten, one-on-one beaten because positionally sometimes he struggles. But one-on-one, he really ever gets beaten. What about Southampton versus Newcastle, Tony? Did you watch that game?
I didn't know. 3-2 to Newcastle, I didn't watch that one, unfortunately.
Drew or Dave?
Yeah, I saw it.
I actually didn't watch it at all. Even on Match of the Day, I actually avoided the game.
Well, I watched the game because Willock was playing, so I'm always going to watch Arsenal players if possible. I thought Newcastle showed a lot of resilience, a lot of fight to win that game. Obviously, they were up in that game, and Southampton. I mean, they won the FA Cup this week, but they struggled a little bit. But I thought that when you get St. Maximin back, and you have someone like Willock as a box-to-box, that they'll probably do better. They lost Wilson during the game, actually, which is unfortunate. But I thought they played with a lot of resilience and fight, and they were down to 9 men at one point, and still held on during the game. Still showed what we did when we were down to 9 men playing. So no, I thought they did really well in that game, actually. Tottenham versus, I'm sorry, Andy's not here, because Tottenham did win, beat West Brom 2-0. I did watch the game, and it was very, very one-sided, actually. Not sure any of you watched that game either.
Yeah.
I watched a bit of that game.
What were your thoughts, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham were efficient in that game, and you know they needed that bounce back, didn't they? I mean, they've had a shocking set of results of late. They needed to come back, and this was their opportunity coming up against a weak West Brom team. You know, they did what they needed to do. I was very surprised when I saw Kane was on, because I was like, where's he come from? Like, he's been raised like Lazarus. Thought he was out for a month or so. But yeah, you know, the Kane Son duo strikes again. If they keep them two working in tandem, they're going to score goals. Now, obviously, things went wildly awry in the week in the FA Cup game, but in that particular game, they were on song. Yeah.
Now that combination does click quite a bit. They look for each other and they know each other's movements, so they do really well. Sheffield against Chelsea, Dave. How do you see that game?
I thought it was pretty comfortable from us until Rudiger wanted to, try and gift them a point. I thought it was comfortable. It was going to take a mistake from us, which we can do. Of course we can do, because we're Chelsea. That was going to get them back into the game. But I thought it was really comfortable from us. There was no worry there whatsoever. Played well. It's the kind of game that you're just like, all right, we've got by. We've got by it. We've got the 3 points. Nothing more. Domination.
What did you think of Timo Werner's play, Dave? Because I'm always interested to hear your opinion on that.
I thought he done well. I think this is the thing. Like, everyone's going to compare Werner to the other big striker signings that we've had in the past, because it's always going to be there. When you buy a striker and not working out, you're going to compare him to Morata. You're going to compare him to Shevchenko, if you want to compare him to that. You're going to compare him to Torres, obviously, as well. The one thing that Werner's got that the other three that they didn't have is that kind of bite and that appetite. I think where he's come from Leipzig, which is a very kind of teamwork-based team, I would say he's kind of working for the team. He knows he's not scoring goals at the moment. You can see his confidence is low. You can see him taking a little bit too much more time on when he's about to shoot the ball than probably what he would have done in the German league. So he's hesitating a little bit more, but he's putting the effort in, and he's getting penalties for us. He's working his socks off, and it's all that you can ask for, really. If I have to be honest.
Hey,
So,
here he is.
Andy, good night. How are you doing, sir?
How you doing?
Doing well. We were talking about team. We just left Tottenham, so I'll come back to Tottenham for you actually. But we're just going through the games of the week, and we're just talking about Chelsea, who got a comfortable win over Sheffield. So we'll come to you directly, Andy, since you just joined us, as to your thoughts on Tottenham, mainly about the Tottenham versus West Brom, and you can touch upon that great game during the week and that beautiful result when you played. So the floor is yours.
Well, well, West Brom, without being sensational, was a better performance from us. Obviously, Kane coming back seems to have a galvanising effect on the team. We got the job done. We got a clean sheet. We could easily have had 5. We got 2. Like I said, it wasn't a sensational performance, but it was a lot better than the dross we've been watching over the last few weeks. At least we tried to go forward, which is a good start. Obviously, the game midweek was a sensational match, and is how we all want to see Tottenham play. Unfortunately, we gave away 5 goals. But I mean, at least on Wednesday night they played the Danny Blanchflower way. But yeah, I mean, we lost 5-4. So
you like that scoreline, don't you, Andy?
Yeah. Yeah. I wondered how long it'd take you to bring that up.
Well, I thought I wasn't enamored with how the games were managed by both managers. I'll give you an example. So we had Sigurdsson marking Sanchez. And it was clear from the first mark he was out of his depth trying to mark him. He was trying to front him and trying to shadow him. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? You don't have no idea where the ball is. And he scored twice because he was having nobody marking him. Sigurdsson was doing a poor job.
He was actually looking at Sanchez's chest, and the ball was coming behind him.
He was. What are you doing? As a manager, don't you assess that and say, you know what, let's revisit this. Let's reposition by the people doing the marking, because Sigurdsson doesn't feel comfortable doing that.
To be fair to Sigurdsson, he did get 3 assists and a goal, so I think he redeemed himself.
Yeah, but the game was enjoyable. So, Andy, would Spurs prefer to play the attacking game and lose more than they win, or vice versa?
Well, bizarrely, if you look at all the Tottenham forums over the last 48 hours, most people have been far more forgiving of Mourinho for us losing 5-4 than they have been when we've been winning 1-0 in a boring fashion. It's a very Spursy thing, if you like. We don't mind losing with a bit of panache. We're used to that. We've been doing it for 40, 50 years. We would rather watch what we watched Wednesday night than watch what we've been watching a lot of this season. It's a bizarre thing, but you don't win trophies playing that way. So it's what can you say? I actually still think I fully expect us to lose tomorrow. Our team look out shattered. Obviously, extra time hasn't helped. We've got a few injuries. City are rampant. I said already, I don't want to seem negative, but I'd take my medicine with a 1 or 2-0 defeat right now and move on, and don't hammer our goal difference by 6 or 7-0. Which
to be really honest, though, you might be in luck tomorrow against City.
Sorry,
Drew.
Yeah, you might be in luck tomorrow, because by the looks of it, Diaz might be missing for the game, and Rodri might be out as well.
We feel so sorry for you, Drew.
If you're gonna take City though right now, with those two out, that's the best you're gonna get against us at the moment. So we might not be dominant.
You'd expect that if you haven't got Diaz and Rodri and De Bruyne and Aguero, which seems like that's possible that might happen tomorrow, you would say we should have a good chance. But I'm telling you right now that Spurs, the way they are right now, I can't see us beating us. Whatever part of your squad you put out, I can't see us winning at your place tomorrow. However, you haven't beaten us for a couple of years. We've had a couple of 2-0 victories. We've had a 1-0 victory. We drew 2-2 at your place at the beginning of last season. So, and historically, not over the last 7 or 8 years, but historically, we always had a very good record against Manchester City. We were one of your bogey teams. But so you addressed that a few years ago. But I don't know. I mean, look, if Kane plays, if I was Mourinho, I wouldn't play Kane tomorrow, because Kane was out on his feet the other night. He's obviously still carrying a knock. because you can tell he's not himself. He's obviously out there because they feel a 70%, 80% fit Kane is better than any of the other options we've got, which is a bit of a sad indictment on our squad, but there you go. He's that important to us. But if we play him again for a third time in 6 days and he breaks down, what's that going to do for the rest of our season? My honest opinion is I would take Kane out of the firing line tomorrow. And, I might be proved wrong. We might get a Mourinho masterclass and we win 1-0 with a goal on the break. I mean, it might happen. I don't think it's likely, but it might. But, and I'll be ecstatic if it does. But right now, I would take a draw or a narrow defeat and just move on. Because once we've got City out of the way tomorrow, we've already played Liverpool twice. We'll have played City twice. We've played Chelsea twice. And we'll have 15 games left against any other team in the league. And I include United in that because I don't think they're great. We will have 15 games left against teams where we will either be favourites or equal favourites going into the match. There's no other team out of City, Liverpool and Chelsea which have a better squad than us, in my opinion. Whether we get our best team out and play well, that's a completely different issue. But we should go into any game for the rest of the season after tomorrow, with the exception of maybe the League Cup final, and be favourites or equal favourites to win the match. So I still think we've got as good a chance as anyone of making the top 4. Whether we do it might depend on how deep we go in the Europa League. If we start getting to the latter stages of the Europa League, that can start to have an impact on your league form because you're playing on a Thursday night just before crunch league games at the end of the season. That could be massive. And Mourinho might end up making the decision that he did with United 3 years ago, where pretty much he gave up on making the top 4 in order to concentrate on winning the Europa League and getting in the Champions League via that route and winning the trophy. If we go out of the Europa League, he will without doubt put all the eggs in the Premier League basket and see what we do from there. But we'll see what happens. But I'm still. Who's Andrew Roach? Spurs have not got a strong squad. I think we have got a strong squad, but I think we are lacking in 2 key areas, or 2 or 3 key areas, in central areas. Centre half, we need a backup centre forward, and we need a creative midfield player.
You're trying to get Eriksen, weren't you, as well?
Sorry?
You was trying to get Eriksen back, weren't you, as well, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was ever really going to happen because Inter wouldn't have let him go for peanuts and Levy wouldn't have paid more than peanuts. So I just, I don't think that was ever really going to happen. And I'm not always sure that things like that really work out. I mean, look what's happened with Bale. I mean, people coming back often, it's not a great thing. I mean, quite frankly, with Tottenham, you never know what you don't know what you're going to get. What I thought earlier in the season, as we were beginning to get an idea and a bit of an identity, it was not maybe an identity that we particularly wanted, but it looked for a period of time that Mourinho was stamping his imprint on our squad, and we were looking more solid. And that's once we got top of the league, the wheels came off, and it was like they all got scared that they were top of the league and thought, "Oh God, we got no business being here." Even though as a Spurs fan, that's where I would want us to be, but the wheels came off, and we've ended up having a fight on our hands to make European places now. But
I don't think we should put Spurs top of the league and get it comfortable. It's not comfortable for you to be top of the league. That's not the place you're supposed to be. You are going to where you belong, and that's a good thing. You are not supposed to be at the top of the league. That's not your destiny. It's not the way the cards are supposed to be. Join us. We're in a good place. We're trying to look upwards. We don't look like we're going to see top four anytime in this next decade. Frankly, we want you beside us. Misery loves company, Andy.
I think it's weird. It's weird how negative fans can be about their own team. I mean, I'm not sort of, that excited about things that are happening at Spurs at the moment. Whereas a few months ago we were a bit excited. Even if we weren't with the brand of football we were playing, we were excited about what was, where we were. But I think you Arsenal fans, I can see why you're negative right now, because you're not in a good place. But I actually, if you look around at your squad with all the great youngsters that you've got, I would be quite. I mean, I'm looking, and even as a Spurs fan, I don't like to do it, but I could reel off 6 or 7 names right now of top-class young talent you've got in your squad. If you add the right people in the summer, experience to bring those younger players through, because that's what you're missing. Those younger players you've got are brilliant, but they don't have, in my opinion, in that squad at the moment, the kind of people that can bring that give the experience to those youngsters and can guide them through games. In the past you've had like an Adams or a Keown or a strong midfield player with a lot of experience that can just bring these guys through, and they can learn off players. I don't see that you've got that in your squad, and that is what. But you could add that in the summer, and if you did, I think you could find yourself actually having quite a strong squad next season. And I think
the problem, Andy, is that
plan.
Yeah. The problem is, Andy, is that everybody's getting better, right? So
yes.
Even though you may be getting better, everybody want to get. City's getting better, Leicester's getting better, Chelsea's getting better, Manu's getting better. There's some of the teams, and other teams like Villa are improving their squads, slowly but surely every year. So even though you may have young kids, by the time you blood them in, you may still be behind. So, but take your point in terms of fans see the glass half empty in their domain, while other fans may see some of the positives that we're not seeing. Let's go to the Liverpool-Man City game, which I thought was very, very interesting. And I have Drew lead this off since we don't have Liverpool fans in this forum. Drew, what are your thoughts on the game? You guys walked away with a comfortable scoreline. Not sure reflect run of play.
Jolo, it was incredibly weird first 45 minutes. Incredibly weird. It's like City didn't know how to play Liverpool because Liverpool didn't play how anyone expected Liverpool to play for the first 45 minutes. It was incredibly strange. Obviously, Gundogan missed the penalty as well. But once City started to kick into gear, we just saw Liverpool's biggest problem that I said at the start of the season. That squad's been together for 3.5, 4 years now. And they've not had many additions apart from Van Dijk a couple of years back. Obviously, Van Dijk's out. But the main bulk of Liverpool's team, they're old and they're tired together now. They've played a hell of a lot of football. And they got exposed the other day. Which, luckily it was against City, obviously, which is nice for me. But I was disappointed in the way Liverpool actually approached the game for large parts of it, to be honest. Because it stopped being a spectacle once City had got themselves properly ahead. Because Liverpool just gave up second half. Alisson, I've never seen him play that badly in goal. I don't get it. They've also just signed new centre backs, yet they still started with 2 central midfielders.
Well, it's hard to introduce a new player, one that came from a league where the team was doing poorly, and the other one from the Championship, to play against Man City with all that creativity. That's kind of hard to do. And if I'm Klopp, I'd be very reluctant to put them under the fire. Now, having said that, we got to always imagine that they took two of their best midfielders and put them at centre half. It's going to weaken your team. They still have a strong team because Thiago and Wijnaldum, they're still in that midfield.
The thing is, I'll say about that though is, I fully appreciate the trying out 2 new centre backs, But what's the worst that could have happened? They could have conceded 4.
Yeah, but you only scored your second after Alisson. Alisson gave away 2, right? And then Foden scored the last goal. So it was they weren't getting slaughtered during the game. It was unfortunate what Alisson did. The question was, if Alisson had made those mistakes, the result may have still been the same. But 4, I thought, flattered City, frankly.
I don't think it flattered us. I think a goal for Liverpool flattered them slightly, because I'm just saying it wasn't a penalty. Salah's got this amazing balance until he gets blown on near a penalty area.
100% agree. 100%. That was never a penalty in my eyes.
But the thing is, there was contact, but it was outside of the box. By the time Salah goes down, he's travelled 10 yards. Honestly, I don't get how that could be given as a penalty. But this is why I should have selected the entire Man City back line for my bloody dream team, though, isn't it? So.
One thing I heard during the week is that Alisson was unwell on Friday or Saturday, and they actually had to make a decision about whether to play him in the game. And because of the magnitude of the game, they decided to make him play. But what he did was so out of character and so weird. And to also make the same mistake twice in such a short space of time, it was like he completely lost concentration for 5 or 10 minutes in the way that you might if you're not feeling very well. But I don't know that's the case, but it was interesting to hear that come out. Now, whether that was a cover story to try and soften the grief he was getting, I don't know. But it was if that was true, then it kind of maybe explains something. But it was a bizarre game. Like you were saying, City didn't play the way they usually play against Liverpool. It was like they waited to see what Liverpool were going to do this time. And because Guardiola never beaten Klopp at Anfield or Liverpool at Anfield, and it was like he waited to see what was happening, and it was like Liverpool were waiting to see what City were going to do, and they were like both waiting for each other just before deciding what they were going to do. And then I think at half time, Guardiola just decided, do you know what? They're not going to hurt us, and then they started ramping it up during the second half. But they ultimately, without Alisson's mistakes, I still would have fancied City to win, but Alisson's mistakes just put it on a plate for them. It was a bizarre thing. The penalty, like you say, I mean, Salah, I mean, that was just ridiculous. I mean, it was just. I don't understand what VAR are doing if they're allowing that penalty to stand. It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Yeah, I don't disagree that he went down easily, but you have to understand the defender. You cannot put your hand on the player and try to pull them back. So I know Tony is against this, but Tony, this is no longer the football that we're all used to, where you know what, you should be manning the box. If you get touched, you're gonna dive. So as a defender, you got to play within the confines of what you're provided, and he made a mistake by touching him.
Yeah,
it's a dive. We all agree to dive.
If you've got VAR, you can see, as Drew said, the initial contact happens outside the box. Then you look and you go, well, does he exaggerate the fall in the box? You can clearly see that. So what you should actually be doing is instructing the referee to card the player for simulation.
So 2 things on that. One is the contact started outside the box. It ended up in the box, and it's a continuous. It's a continuum.
There wasn't the contact inside the box.
No, but it was pulling him back, right?
There was contact mild contact outside the box, and then it went forward, and then Salah tried to gain some form of contact inside the box, but by that stage, he wasn't being impeded anymore. He just decided to throw himself to the ground inside the box.
Yeah.
So on Tony's point about
the offence, what VAR should have done, if they were going to do anything, was say, well, he made an attempt to pull him back outside the box. It didn't succeed, but that was the only point at which there was contact made.
Yeah, look, I've listened to a lot of pundits on this, and the views are varied, right? Half will say it's a penalty because you touched them in the box, or you said on the fringe of the box. Others would say it's not a penalty. The VAR can't overturn the referee because of their own opinion. It has to be made a material error. I use the word material, my own term.
Material error because he didn't touch him in the box.
I think it's debatable as to where he touched him, where the play actually ended up, frankly, in terms of touching him. I thought he touched him in the box, but you and Tony think otherwise.
No,
Did you see that play in your perspective?
It was outside.
I'll get an arbitrator.
The point is, this is where the rules are now. The changes they're making to the rules now
They're skewed, aren't they?
Are making the game ridiculous because really a penalty should be given if a defender impedes an attacker or a member of the opposition from getting some form of goal scoring opportunity or gaining some kind of advantage in the penalty area. I mean, the idea that now we're heading towards a sort of, and this is no disrespect, Bertram, but a kind of an American thing about lack of contact and non-contact. Football is a contact sport. Contact is occurring all the time during a game of football. Just because you touch someone or challenge them, that is not a foul in itself. It's do you impede them from, does your action impede them from doing something that they want to do? And that is a big problem.
So I think the VAR, and I would say video in general, has shown, frankly, how flawed football has been. I have a different perspective on this, which is, you see, we're challenging things now which we never challenged before. They were all part of the same rule. They've made some changes to the rule, but even the offside line, which is, are you offside, not offside? Everyone is up in the arm. You're offside by your finger, or your toe, or your fingernail. And the question is, well, what would we judge it by before? What's the criteria for being offside, for example? Is it my entire body? Is it half my body? You can only go by the rules, and the rules were flawed before. Here's my view of the view rules, which is, how can you send someone off in the second minute of the game, what happened with Southampton, with that kid, right? Second minute of the game, so the next team plays for 88 minutes in regular time, 10 versus 11. To me, that makes no sense in sports, which is entertainment. Someone made a mistake on your team. That's like penalizing everyone in your entire clan because one person made a mistake or decided to be stupid for the entirety of your lifetime. Does that actually make any sense versus say, you know what, there's a 10-minute penalty or there's a 15-minute penalty, we can replace that person with another player. Just one example of where I think football needs to come into what I call the 21st century. Because to me, and others may differ, those who have a view of what the integrity of the game is and how it was before, my view is the only thing that shouldn't change is change itself. Because you always have to change, always got to evolve. So
there's nothing wrong with changing minor things to make improvements to the game, but changing for the sake of change when you've got a game which has been the world game for 150 years and has been successful all that time, and the rules have been fine with just little minor tweaks here and there, that they're making material changes to the rules of the game in order to suit VAR. It's
some of it is that the case, yes.
They're making the changes in order so they're making the changes so that VAR can be more effective. They're trying to make things more cut and dried in order that VAR can make those decisions rather than leave it as it was. Now, part of my, footballing journey and all the rest of it was that part of being a referee, and I've been a referee at various times as well in my later days, that you're part of being a referee is sometimes you're watching things in the game and you let them go. You've seen it and it probably was a foul, but you let it go because you don't want to stop the game every 5 seconds for minor infringements. So something goes on and you see what happens and you've seen a little niggle and someone's given someone an elbow in the ribs, but you know that 2 seconds earlier when you weren't looking, the other guy stamped on his foot or wherever it happened. These things are going on all the time during a football match. It is happening all the time. So referees use their common sense, and that's where it came down to referees' discretion. They let things ride. I preferred it. And if, for example, the boy, the young lad, academy player, whatever, for Southampton got sent off after 2 minutes. Yes, it was a bad challenge. Me personally, I don't want to see him sent off after 2 minutes for that challenge. I think you can at that early in the game, you can let it ride. But if it happens after an hour, you probably do send the guy off. And I appreciate that the people that want to have VAR don't want things to be at people's discretion. But I think part of refereeing a football match, you need to let the referee rule the game. The only things that should change are, I personally believe, is either the referee should call for VAR's assistance.
Yeah, 100%.
If he believes he needs it, that he should ask, look, I'm not 100% sure there. Was that a clear foul or not? There was a body in the way. They're going mad about it. All right, fine. The referee makes the call, and then he goes and looks at the monitor, and then he decides whether or not he was right or wrong, or the assistant referee was right or wrong. Or, and this is where I think that we could get something from, say, basketball, in the sense that you could have timeouts. And for example, a team, or like cricket, where a team can have 2 reviews in a match, or 3, whatever you decide. But the team themselves decide whether or not they review something. And they've only got 2 or 3, so if they waste them, they waste them. And that's it. They don't get any more.
That to me is an unnecessary thing. I mean,
Yeah.
You just slow down the game.
I don't think you do, Tony. Not the way it is at the moment, because VAR is interfering more than you'd have if each team had 2 opportunities.
Andy, if you got 2 minutes taken up by VAR investigating something, the decision goes against you, and then you throw your challenge in to say, actually, I want to look at it again. So 2 minutes turns into 4 minutes. In a game of football...
No. VAR doesn't look at it on its own merit. You don't have VAR unless one of the teams or the referee has asked for it, and they can only do that.
So guys, I jump in here by saying this. We have to move on, but I'll say this: we will never have consensus on VAR, ever.
Should be done on a day in rugby.
A point which have great merits, but so does Tony. And I sit here thinking, I can think of 10 different iterations when I think about this as to why it will or will not work. So we'll never have consensus, but love the viewpoints. That at some point, VAR has to get to where we were before, which is, I think there was less dispute about outcomes than we have today. And hopefully the technology will be much more accepted. We'll make better decisions. The rules will be more aligned with the technology to get to a good place. But I do want to get to, before we conclude tonight, the games that are upcoming this weekend. And there are some good games. So the first game is Leicester versus Liverpool. Tony, what's your view on that game? Now, what's your prediction, I should say?
Well, I'm going to predict Liverpool come back. They need a bounce back. It's a difficult fixture at Leicester, but I believe Liverpool going to have the bounce back ability here. Somehow they'll get this
Score.
2-1 to Liverpool.
David?
1-0. I'm going 1-0.
Yeah. Drew?
2-1, and there's only one reason why. 2-1 Liverpool, I should say. Leicester have got enough talent going forward to give Liverpool problems, but with Justin out for the rest of the season, I don't see Leicester being solid enough defensively. So I'd pick Liverpool to win that one.
Andy?
Does anyone know if Vardy still out?
He should be back.
He's been back. He came on.
He was back. Yeah.
Midweek. Yeah. We'll substitute midweek.
I'm going to go 1-1. Draw.
Okay. I'm going to say Liverpool 2-1. I think they'll bounce back. They'll play one of those centre halves.
I'd be surprised if Liverpool won, but yeah, I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay. Next game, I want to do every game. Man City versus Tottenham. I'll have Andy goes first.
I'm going to go 2-0 City.
Okay. Andy picking against his team. Tony?
I hope I'm wrong.
Do you know what? Because I think it boils down to the fact that Tottenham played 120 minutes on Thursday, or Wednesday.
That's what I'm worried about.
I think that's just a bit too much for them to come back in a short period of time. If the game had been Sunday, maybe a little bit more of a chance. But I'm going to go 2-0 City as well.
Drew?
I'm gonna go 2-0 City, but just on one point, I actually said 2-0 Spurs last time we played, and unfortunately I was right on that one. So no, 2-0 City.
Dave?
I'm going to go in a complete different direction again, like from the last week's predictions. I'm going 4-1 City. I think this season could be Guardiola's defining moments where people say they haven't had De Bruyne, they haven't had, Aguero, or some of their key players. I think this is the season that I think City are going to win the title, and I think this is going to be a season people are going to go, wow, he's a great coach and manager. So I'm going 4-1.
Well, I can't pick Tottenham with all good conscience. So I'm going to say 3-1 City. I do think Tottenham will give them a good game. Without a strike up front, and Tottenham will play better, and but I think people like Dembele and Ndombele will show up actually and play a good game. So I'm not
sure he's going to be fit, Bertram.
No. Okay.
He was struggling. He got subbed at Everton the other night.
But I thought it was good that you took Bergwijn out the game almost at halftime, or just about halftime, because I don't think he doesn't score enough for you. So I would expect you to give a good fight, but I do think Man City will have too much for you in second half. They'll run away. So it'll be a 3-1 game.
Is that Manchester, Andy Roach, by the way?
Yes, it's at Man City. I don't think it matters in this environment where you play anyway, because we're clearly showing that as Arsenal. We like to go away because in this environment, we're just not playing well at home. Brighton, Aston Villa, Andy?
I could see. I'm going to go for another draw here, 1-1.
Tony?
Brighton in good form.
Yeah, Brighton are in good form. I'm going to go with Andy at 1-1 as well.
Drew?
I don't see how it's not going to be a 1-1 draw. This is literally a 1-1 draw, and that's there's no way this game's going to be exciting. But I can't see either of them keeping a clean sheet. But I can't see anything more than a 1-1.
Dave?
4 out of 4. I can't see it either. I think I've got 1-0 as well. So, are we going for a full 5 out of 5 here? But
no, we're not.
It's going to be 4-0 Villa now, don't you?
Yeah,
it's going to be 4-0 Villa.
We're all going to bookie on a 1-1 this evening.
No, I'm saying Villa 2-1. I watch them play us. I think they have a very good team. Brighton, by the way, though, I must say, has done really well against the really good teams, and I consider Villa to be a good team. So. But I'm picking Villa to win 2-1, actually. So everyone is 1-1 apart from me breaking the trend. I was going to say Southampton, but I'm going to skip that game. West Brom. I'm going to skip West Brom Manu also, because we know what the outcome is going to be. Sunday game, Arsenal.
No, we don't. I'm hoping for a Sam victory over Man United.
Hang on. Is it at Old Trafford?
It's at West Brom.
It's at West Brom.
Oh, in that case, then United win.
Yeah.
West Brom have got this weird hoodoo about going to Old Trafford over the past decade, where they always seem to get a decent result at Old Trafford.
Right.
Apart from obviously earlier in the season, because West Brom have been abysmal for the whole year. But...
Sunday, Arsenal Leeds. Even though miss.
Leeds 2-1.
And it's Leeds. Tony.
It's a horrible fixture for us. It really is. The saving grace is we've had a week to prepare, and hopefully the boys' legs are up for it. We've lost Partey in the week. 1-1 draw. I hope.
Drew.
Look at this. Arsenal Arsenal fans predicting 1-1 at home to Leeds.
It entirely depends what Leeds play again, however they turn up between the years. If Leeds turn up and they're up for it, they could actually run you off the park.
Yeah,
they're a high energy team and they just attack.
Leeds can beat anyone.
Arsenal don't want a team to do at the moment. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds.
Dave?
The thing is, Leeds just create so many chances as well, and I'm gonna go 2-1 Leeds.
18, you're saying Arsenal 2-0.
That's optimistic.
That's an Arsenal fan. I think all the comments I've seen coming in saying Arsenal is going to win. Andrew saying 3-1 to Arsenal. We have 18 again. Same prediction for, but we saw 18 before. Apollo is saying 1-0. I haven't seen us play Leeds really well, I must admit. They always are saying 3-2 Arsenal. I watched us play them in the FA Cup. What was that, last year? I watched us play them this year. They sort of ran us up the park. Now, granted, we're down to 10 men because of the mistake made by Pepe, but we still haven't really played them well. But having said that, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I'm not picking against my team. So I'm picking us to beat them 2-1. It'd be a difficult game for us, especially if there's no Partey, because then we're going to have Xhaka or Ceballos in the middle, and they are fit as you know what, and no Tierney at left back. It makes it challenging, but hopefully we'll play Odegaard and Saka up front along with Lacazette and Pepe, and put my captain on the bench because he came in with 30 minutes last week, and I didn't realize he was on the field until the game was finished. And I swear about that. I know he came in the game. I really didn't see him at all in the game. And it was when the game was almost finished, I realized, we did put Abba on the field. So
not going to happen, fella. Not going to happen. There's no way he leaves Aubameyang out that team.
I know.
Tomorrow.
I know.
And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but there's just no way. If it looks like and it smells like and we know what Arteta is like, he's always going to go with that guy.
Yeah. Naomi saying you can't sleep on Leeds. I would agree. I mean, they're a difficult team to play, right? When they really turn up, they can give anyone a good game. But some days they tune out, and I think hopefully they tune out tomorrow. Newcastle versus Chelsea. I will go with Dave first. Your prediction on that one?
I'm going.
Chelsea are home, aren't they?
They're at home, yes.
Yeah. I've got a 2-0. I think it's going to be comfortable, and I think we'll get a goal in the first half and then goal late in the second.
Drew?
I'd probably go with the same score.
So Dave's the 2-0, Drew?
I'd go. Do you know what? I'm going to make it a 3 out of 3 on this with 2-0 as well. Newcastle are abysmal. They've got so many points this season for a team as bad as what they are. They got more points than what they should have. So, but I can't see anything apart from a Chelsea win. I don't see Newcastle scoring.
Tony?
Without Callum Wilson, even worse. So 3-0 for me. I think Chelsea going to win this comfortably.
He's out till April, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did watch Newcastle play last week. I do like Almiron. I do like Maximum. I love Willock. I'm predicting 2-2. I'm going against the grain. I'm predicting Newcastle will turn up. Defensively, they're going to struggle. But I think we have two Arsenal boys, one ex-Arsenal and Hayden and Willock. So I'm predicting my boys to have that North London thing in their vein and help to push. Jolinton is a walking, what I call him, a robot. He's just not a footballer.
That's what I'm saying. Who's going to play up front?
I think it may be Andy Carroll they play up front. I'm not sure who they're going to play up front. But I think they're a different team with St. Maximum, frankly. I just think he's an exceptional footballer.
And if they had Wilson, then it could be a different story. But
yes, I would agree.
I just think without Wilson, I can't see where their goals are coming from.
Exactly.
I think Willock will score tomorrow. That's just my view on that, but we'll see. I have that much confidence. Now that he's no longer restricted, I'm nervous to play with Arsenal.
Huh? I hope Newcastle beat Chelsea. I just can't see it happening.
I don't see a win. I'm saying a draw because I'm not look, Chelsea's forward line, if they do click, are very, very good. They just haven't clicked all season to me. I think their midfield is ordinary, frankly. So we'll see what happens. Last game is West Ham versus Sheffield. Not much in that game. Andy, not much to say there.
Is that who's at home?
West Ham at home.
To Sheffield United?
Yes.
Yeah.
I might go for a bit of a surprise here. I could see a draw. 1-1 maybe.
Okay.
I'll
Tony?
second that.
Wow. Was that Drew or Dave said second that?
I second that. Yeah, I think.
Tony?
I need someone to slow the West Ham train down. They're going a little bit too ahead of themselves for my liking. So I'm hoping Sheffield United can pull out a 1-0.
What's your score?
I mean, Sheffield United are in a really weird run of form at the moment. So I could see him nicking a 1-0. I actually can.
Yeah.
Is Antonio back?
He was out the last time they played, but I'm not sure if that was because of the FA Cup.
Without Antonio, West Ham do struggle more.
Well, Lingard had a great first game, and he couldn't play against Manu because he was probably either cup tied or restricted from doing so. So I expect him to play, and he gave them an impetus the last time he played. I expect him to also. But you're right, they're not the same team without Antonio. I'm going to predict that they'll win 2-1 against Sheffield, though. I did see Sheffield against Chelsea a little bit. They don't have enough firepower up front to really make you nervous as a team, actually. They have a decent enough team. They'll give you a good game, but they don't have the scorers, and it's very challenging for them to be able to put the ball in the net. So that was the list of the games for this weekend. Any final words from you guys? I'll go with Andy first.
I just think that we're coming to the interesting part of the season now when Europe kicks back in next week. I mean, I have to say, I think all these games that are being rearranged to be played in other countries. I see Arsenal are playing, the first leg in Italy and the second leg in Athens. I mean, this is just for me, it's becoming a nonsense, really. I mean, we're in it as well, and I don't want it cancelled. I mean, we're playing our game in Hungary. You know, I mean, it's just, it's getting nonsensical. I think, even though I don't want it, I think they should be postponing the European competitions. I mean, sending lots of teams, 2 teams for each game to different countries, and then going home again, and then playing the second leg in different countries as well. I mean, really, I think if you're playing both matches on neutral venues, you might as well just have one leg and have one neutral match. I mean, it's a bit of I think the whole thing's getting a bit farcical now. And
I don't think Tottenham or Arsenal should be saying we don't want to play European competition because the only way we get into the Champions League, no other way we're getting there, as far as I'm concerned. So we should be the one team saying, please, I want to play. I'm just
thinking that although we all love football, there are some things that are a bit more important, and it's getting silly. You're going to have 32 teams traveling to different countries to play another team from another country. It's getting silly, really. I think.
Now, there's something we pulled from the Champions League that I did last year, right? It's almost like you play one game. You could have done it in a bubble if you so choose, but it's difficult to do in the middle of the season for all the other leagues across Europe. So that makes it difficult to do. Drew, any final words?
I'll pretty much say what Andy said. I think this is ridiculous with how European competition is going to go, but it's going to be a really interesting next couple of weeks. But yeah, I think they should just literally get together and just go straight into one game knockout competition right now. If they're going to start playing in a neutral venue, what's the point in going to 2 sodding venues?
Yeah,
I agree with you, Drew.
Stupid of UEFA.
Yeah, two neutral venues makes no sense to me.
It's nonsense. You're going to go from London to Rome, back to London, then to Athens, then back to London. Benfica are going from Portugal to Rome, back to Portugal, back to. I mean, it's just balmy.
Aren't Liverpool playing abroad as well? I want to say.
Yeah, the only question is, what's the TV obligation, right? Because you don't want to give money back. Less games you have to give back money. And in this
Yeah,
environment,
sure.
no one's intended to give any money back.
Yeah,
So,
no, I mean, look, there's no doubt this is all to do with money. And no,
Yeah.
I don't doubt that for 1 second. That's the only reason it's
but
happening.
there are no fans in the stands, right? There are no fans in the stands, so it can't be gate receipts. So it has to be television.
It's TV money, isn't it?
Yeah, TV money.
Yeah.
Dave, any final words?
I think it's nice to actually take a step back and realise, all right, I know from the European football side, no, that's a bit of a mess at the moment, but how fortunate are we to actually get to the point where we're watching football, every other day pretty much. We're watching Premier League games, FA Cup games. It's been one of the things that's kept a lot of people going, in all honesty. So it's such a blessing to be able to watch game after game after game. I mean, that's the only thing I'll say. I think footballers need to be commended a little bit from going, you know what? I know people are going to go, oh, they're on a load of money and stuff and everything like that, but keeping kind of like the nation entertained really is they're doing their part, I think.
Yeah, all while being in their individual bubble. That's the other thing that people don't appreciate. It's not like they can go from the training ground and go all over the place. They still have to stay in a bubble, very strict bubble like that, in order to be able to keep being tested negative and play.
Tony, any closing comments?
Yeah, look, everyone enjoy your weekend. As I always say, keep safe. As best you can. Enjoy Valentine's, boys. I know there's a lot of fellas on here. They're going to make their wives and their partners very upset on Sunday. But all the best.
I'm not one of those because I'm taking Sunday off. I can't give an excuse for that for Sunday. I can't come up with an excuse for Sunday. One day I can't. One day of the year where I'm locked down and I'll be locked down on Sunday. My closing comment is I think football is just more than just entertainment, as Drew clearly alluded to, which is it's part of almost innate to how we live. Some of us live, breathe, think, and it's been great having football almost 24/7, frankly, along with other sports that I watch, which keeps me because I'm locked up in this home for God knows for an entire year because I work here and I sleep here and I'm entertained here, so I'm locked in, and that's what alleviates the challenge that you face as you're locked in at home. So I want to thank everyone for joining us again. Please hit that subscribe button. We'll be back again next week, and please stay safe. Peace out.
Cheers,
Take care, guys.
See you later, guys.